I have indeed been peer pressured into this YouTube account. Yes, I have. I asked you guys over on my Instagram if I should start my YouTube back up and what kind of videos you want to see, and 90% of you said we want to see BOOKTok. Clearly, you don't even care about makeup anymore, and honestly, I love that for us. So welcome to my first ever BOOKTok. Wait, BookTube? What the fuck is this? Anyway, a video about books. Let's get into it. So I feel like you guys already know my taste if you're coming from my BOOKTok account, but in case you don't, I feel like we need a little refreshment, and the only way we could do that is if I give you my opinions on what popular BOOKTok books deserve the hype and what don't. Because I'm about to hate on so many of your favorite books, and what a better way to get to know each other. I feel like once we get that out of the way, we can officially be friends. Let's get into it. I'm gonna start off very easy here. Dreamland Billionaires. This is such a good fucking series. It deserves every single second of hype it gets on BOOKTok. And honestly, I've noticed every single time a book goes viral on BOOKTok, so many people start hating on it, and you need to stop that. Stop that immediately. This series is so good. Literally from the first to the last book, chef's kiss. I read them so long ago and I still think about them daily. Okay, another series that 100,000% deserves the hype, and I haven't seen people hating on these series, and honestly, thank God for that. The Chestnut Spring series, there's definitely a lot of them, but every single one is so fucking worth it. This is not the correct order. I actually have no idea what the correct order is, but I have read every single one of them, and it pains me to say that this series is over. The tabbies were tabbing so hard on this one, and honestly, if Elsie Silver wants to write 5 more of these, I'm so down. Now this right here, this little thing right here, this might be the most popular dark romance BOOKTok book like I've ever seen, and honestly, I wish to unsee every single thing I've seen. Like, if you like this book, I am totally judging. Like, I don't even know where I was gonna go with that. 100,000% that this does not deserve the hype. This is like, actually, if you think about it a little bit too hard, like, you start to realize the real issues in this book, and I just couldn't look past that. Like I said, as a thinking human being, I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. Credence by Penelope Douglas is not worth the hype. No. There's so many other good dark romance books that you could read, and that's not one of these. Is this even considered a dark romance? It shouldn't. Okay, with this next one, I am gonna ruffle up some of your feathers, and I said what I fucking said. Emily Henry. Honestly, I'm now convinced any book by Emily Henry is just not my vibe, and like, that's okay, but these, neither of them are worth the hype. Funny Story and Happy Place, get the fuck out. Why is everybody freaking out about these? Like, I genuinely want to know. I read both, and to be quite honest, Funny Story was a little bit better than Happy Place. In Funny Story, the MMC was literally the bare minimum you can ask of a guy. Like, he didn't do anything but the most bare minimum. So when I see people freaking out over this on BOOKTok, I'm like, raise your fucking standards. Thank you very much. A lot of people say that they connect with the characters with Emily Henry, and that's why her books are popular, but I still don't fucking see it. I don't. But you know what I do see? The hype about Binding 13 and the whole Boys of Tommen series. I mean, this series is always gonna hold a special place in my heart. It is unlike any other book I've read. And a lot of people say, like, why do you need 800 pages for like a romance? And you don't get it. Until you read it, you just don't get it. Okay, just read these. I have never seen anybody say anything bad about it. With that being said, Taming 7 was a fail for me. I did not like this book. This whole series is still a 5-star series for me, but Taming 7 just like fell through, and it actually annoyed the living shit out of me, and I'm pretty sure I gave it 3 stars. But if we don't look at her, these 6 stars each. These next series have been getting so much hate on BOOKTok. I actually cannot believe you guys. Like, why are we hating on this? The Knock 'Em Out series. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about these books, but I do have favorites here. If I were to rate them, I would rate Things We Leave Behind at number 1. This was so fucking good. I literally stopped at the end because I couldn't believe the series were over. Then we're gonna do Things We Never Got Over. And then my least favorite is Things We Hide from the Light. All 3 of these are 5 stars, and I don't care what anybody else says. Out on a Limb. I DNF'd it. I did. As you see, where the tabbies stopped is about where I stopped. in the series. I think I read like a good 70, maybe 80%. Once we started getting into Dragons and Dungeons, I couldn't do it. Nothing against the Dragon and Dungeons community, okay? But I just couldn't see past that. The guy gave me an egg, the girl gave me an egg, the whole thing was an egg. Sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm not. This is not worth the hype in my opinion. I feel like now that I already have you riled up, I should just get this one out of the way. A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime. It was cute. It should have been about 300 pages shorter than what it was, which would make it an 100-page novel, and I would be absolutely happy with that. 500 pages for this? No. Ooh, you thought that you were mad at me? Just wait until this one. Say You Swear. First of all, this cover, I fucking hate this cover. Who made this? Somebody needs to re-release these with a new cover because this is fucking atrocious, but I don't get it. This was not it for me. Like, it was okay, but there was like too much going on. If I remember correctly, there were like too many people in here that were unneeded, and the whole book was just kind of, not worth the hype. Now this next one I read because of BookTok. I've kept seeing this book over and over pop up on my For You page, and I was like, let me see what it's about. A Love Letter to Whiskey. As of right now, I think it's my favorite book of 2025. Are we in 2025? What fucking year are we in? Are we in 2025 or 2024? Excuse me? We're in 2024. I'm not even gonna get into it. My favorite book of 2024. I literally sobbed. It is the best thing that you could possibly ever read. And don't even ask me what it's about or if it has a happy ending, because this book is so much more than the happy ending, okay? Read this and thank me fucking later. Oh my God, we're gonna stop with the romance for a little bit. We're gonna go into thriller. The Silent Patient. This book thoroughly pissed me the fuck off. Maybe I'm too stupid, too blonde. I don't know what the fuck happened, but this was absolutely dumb. I didn't like it. I was left with so many questions, and a lot of people say, oh, when you read thrillers or what the fuck even is this? A mystery or whatever the fuck. When you read this, you're supposed to be left with questions. No, after I finish the book, I don't want to think about it anymore. I want everything put in a box and wrapped with a bow. I don't want to search for answers myself. I want them to be given to me. Thank you. Not worth the hype. Now, do you know what every single person on BookTok needs to stop with? The Fourth Wing slander. I cannot stand one more person say that Fourth Wing isn't worth reading. Shut it. Fourth Wing and Iron Flame deserve every single speckle of hype that revolves around them. I will die on that hill. I am. Like, I don't understand how you can not like either of these books. Yes, Iron Flame is a hard read. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you read one page and you're like, whoa, my brain hurts. But that's because Rebecca is too smart for our tiny little brains and we just can't keep up. And that's fine. When the third book comes out, don't talk to me. Next, we have Once Upon a Broken Heart series, and oh my fucking God, these deserve the hype 100,000%. The second book, The Ballad of Never After, made me sob. The third book made me sob, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't. Now, I know you're already asking me, but Yana, do I have to read the Caraval series before I read Once Upon a Broken Heart series? Because the characters that you meet in Caraval, like, the worlds are intertwined, but they're like interconnected standalones in a way, okay? Like as a series. But yes, I think you should read the Caraval series before going in Once Upon a Broken Heart, because if you read Once Upon a Broken Heart, you're gonna spoil Caraval for you. And I think Caraval, even though it's not a 5-star series like these, Caraval is still worth the hype. It was a 4-star series for me, but they were amazing. So if you want to read these, you must read these. Divine Rivals was once again a book that I read because of BookTok, because everybody was talking about this thing and I was like, why are we talking about it? I need to know the tea. And I'm here to tell you the tea. The tea is not worth the hype. No, absolutely not. I actually DNF'd the series, meaning I'm not gonna read Ruthless Vows because I cannot stand it. I do not understand how they fell in love over like a typewriter. I don't fucking get it, and it is very cringy. I said what I said. Another series that I DNF'd. Oof, this was gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt so many of you, I know it. The Cruel Prince. The hate I got on BookTok when I said that I DNF'd it. You know what? Many of you said that you understand and you DNF'd it too, but many of you fucking came for me, and that's fine. I did not like Cruel Prince. You guys told me that in the next two, it's gonna get better. I honestly don't care for the story. Like, if I wanna read the next two, I at least need to care a tiny little bit, and I don't. I also think this book was misadvertised because it is way more like a political fantasy book than it is romance. Like, a lot of people are like, oh my god, the romance, like there is zero romance in this book. Like, forget about fucking romance. Also, so many characters die. Like, I remember reading this book and I was like, I don't even know one character that's alive at the point because everybody's dead. They all died. This next one might be a little bit of an unpopular opinion because so many people hate either on the series or on one of the books in the series, and I personally think every single book deserves the hype, even the first one. We have the Twisted series. Yes, can we take a second for the covers that I have? They are absolutely gorgeous, but that's neither here nor there. Every single person that I nowadays see read these series, they hate Twisted Love. Why do we hate Twisted Love? I love Twisted Love. I loved this book. I loved the second, the third, and the fourth. This was one of the first series I have ever read, and I still remember the plot of every single one of them, which does not happen to me that often, and that says a lot because after reading these, I read about 200 books since then, and 150 of those I don't remember anything about, and these are still in my mind. So anytime I see any slander of these books, I don't want to hear it. Oh my god, One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. Can't speak for this one because I didn't read it. I DNF'd the series after the One Dark Window. After reading this, I wanted to throw that out of a One Dark Window. What was this? Maybe, you know what, maybe I'm just too dumb to understand because the tabs that you see in this book is the questions I was left unanswered with and the things that I simply did not understand. And at some point, I like a little mystery in my books, but when there is too much mystery, I just lose interest because I'm like, at this point, I don't understand shit, so I might as well just move on. And that's exactly what this book was giving me. Hence, I will not be continuing the series, and I don't think it was worth the hype. Powerless and Powerful. And the third book is coming out, I think, in July. Oh my god, these little books. I love them so fucking much. This is still a very popular BookTok book/series. This one right here absolutely fucking shattered me. I have sobbed so badly after finishing this little novella. And if you've seen my TikToks on this book, you understand. I read Powerless before it was even viral on BookTok, and I gave it 5 stars right off the bat. Sometimes I start a book and literally 5 pages in, I just know it's gonna be a 5-star book, and that's what this was. I knew immediately. Like chapter 3, I was like, 5 stars, and indeed it was. Okay, these last two, I don't even know how they made this in this video because honestly, these were the most surprising reads of the year for me. I read them pretty much almost back to back, and both of these worth the hype, and I still can't believe I'm saying it. And I'll explain why. First, we have Better Than the Movies. This was so fucking cute, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I usually hate like cute books, especially when they don't have a lot of spice in them. This book doesn't even have spice in it. Like there's maybe a smidget of it. So usually if there's no spice, Yana will not be reading it. But something about this book was so cute and it kept me entertained the whole time. I didn't give it 5 stars, I gave it 4 stars, but it's so worth the read and it is so worth the hype on BookTok. That's all I have to say. And then this one right here, The 7-Year Slip. The plot was so fucking good. Once again, there wasn't any spice in this book, and wow, this thing kept me thoroughly entertained through and through, and I honestly could not believe it. Like, it was so well written. I like still think about the plot of this book probably once a week. Yes, 100,000% worth the hype. Anyway, now that you either hate me or love me, I think we could be done with this. And just remember, book opinions are subjective and there is no right or wrong, except mine are always right. I'm just kidding. Anyway, now that we're friends on TikTok and on YouTube, let me know what other videos you want to see, and I love you so much. Bye.